Hi, this is Catherine Robbins. Before starting my dissertation on designing a digital Shakespeare edition, I wanted to start by getting a sense of what students really think about Shakespeare. I have been teaching his plays to college students off and on in gen ed classes for about 8 years, and so I had some pretty good guesses, but I wanted to make sure. So I did a two-part qualitative study. Here are the results of what 3 words 350 Introduction to Theater students associate with Shakespeare. Some negative words might jump out at you right away because they are fairly big. There is old, confusing, boring, difficult and complicated, hard. If you give it a second and you let the dust of the negative words settle, there are some positive ones that pop up as well. For instance, there are words like interesting, great and dramatic, theater, complex, which is a nicer way of saying difficult and complicated, sad, beautiful, and humorous, which are great theater descriptors, emotional and elegant, and challenging in language. This list of positives and negatives remind me, though, of the dynamic potential for multimodality in teaching Shakespeare. Shakespeare's works are continually revisited, reinvented, and rethought and appropriated again and again by each subsequent generation. His works are simultaneously both old and new because they are so continually reinterpreted and repurposed. Although originally the title Shakespeare 2.0 came to mind right away when I started my dissertation, as my husband pointed out to me, that title isn't accurate. Truth is, almost every generation has renewed and modernized Shakespeare since the Restoration. During the Restoration, changes in the theater added elaborate sets and imposed a fourth wall by flattening the thrust stage of Shakespeare into the grand proscenium. Next, the Tates of the world rewrote endings that were too tragic, and Charles and Mary Lamb transformed the folio into pleasantly illustrated bedtime stories. The 20th century appropriated text further through motion pictures. And looking back at 400 years of recreating, transforming, and adapting Shakespeare to fit the needs of changing mediums and changing taste, Shakespeare faces his next transformation in the age of the digital text, version 5.0. One of those transformations is the role of performance in text. How performance is incorporated into digital text comes in a sliding scale. Although a really slick addition from a pedagogy standpoint, Cambridge University Press iPad falls on the lower end. And by the lower end, I'm speaking to how pervasive and built in the performance element is. It is a super slick addition, and I'm a huge fan. It offers dramatic readings by famous actors that can be turned on and off at any time. It also includes pictures of various productions of the scene to allow students to discuss and imagine how to stage key scenes. Actively Learn, a commercial company that offers thousands of interactive and customizable ebooks, also incorporates performance. Actively Learn follows the same sort of LMS-like template for all of their books. For performance, production entails incorporating clips of the Shakespeare production, most usually from YouTube. Actively Learn starts with some built-in interactions, and then teachers can further customize, meaning you can add whatever YouTube videos or production clips that you so choose. As you can see in this example, a clip is provided for the student to watch and then write a response to the prompted question. This question is then sent to the teacher to grade and respond to. In that way, there is a social media-like aspect to viewing this clip and sharing your thoughts, which can also be liked by peers. Further up on the multimodal performance scale is Shakespeare in Bits. Like Actively Learn books, Shakespeare in Bits is available to use at a PC or Mac desktop or as an Android and iOS app. But unlike Actively Learn, which is free mostly, Shakespeare in Bits is about $14.99 per text. Here is the animation approach they use.
Who's that? Hey, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself. Only the king. Bernardo, you come most carefully upon your hour. It's now struck 12.
These animations are by no means awe-inspiring, but they provide contextual clues like facial expressions, voice intonation, and some film-like staging. They also incorporate the reading comprehension principle of highlighting the text as it is being read. Further into the multimodal experience and the performance experience is the Source Shakespeare app for iPads. You may have already experienced the print version of Sourcebook with its corresponding CD. This incorporated those two components into an interactive digital text so that you can hear different performance versions of the same speech, see performances, and see production notes about costumes and staging. Whereas Sourcebook pulls from a history of production, the Globe created dynamic iBooks that integrate their performance history in an interactive text.
They are also an invaluable teaching resource to help to inspire and engage students with Shakespeare's plays in an interactive way, with a device they don't want to put down. Bring Shakespeare to life with beautiful photographs direct from the Shakespeare Globe productions. Enjoy videos that capture the raw immediacy of the play.
What hempen homespuns have we swaggering here? Show me the play.
Gain insight into the feelings and motivations behind the characters through interviews with actors and directors. Use scrolling scene to view the whole scene rather than page by page. Explore the play further through the backstage processes with activities that actors use in rehearsals. Romeo and Juliet, Much Ado About Nothing, and A Midsummer Night's Dream are now available on the iBookstore.
Globe Education Shakespeare with Hotter Education offers video clips of rehearsals and lesson play ideas, as well as iBook editions with rehearsal and production pictures, pop-up glossary, audio and video interviews, and more, as you saw from the video. In this way, the reading of the text is also reading not just the play, but the production experience of creating the play. In this way, you see texts that are really providing quote-unquote reading experiences that are closely in line with production experiences and hit all the multimodal areas of linguistic, audio, gestural, and spatial meaning. Digital versions reflect changes in broader questions involving reading and literacy in text. By integrating multimodal meaning and embracing digital literacy, text is now experiencing, as Kress writes, quote, the broad move from the now centuries-long dominance of writing to the new dominance of the image, and the move from the dominance of the medium of the book to the dominance of the medium of the screen, end quote. In the case of Shakespeare editions that incorporate performance, the new dominance is the medium of the theater. In this way, Shakespeare readers are not necessarily reading per se. They are experiencing, which is, if I can be bold enough to say this, closely aligns to how people originally experienced a Shakespeare play, almost solely as a performance. This means that the world of a Shakespeare play can really move away from diegesis, or telling, to the world of mimesis, the act of showing. The reader not just passively reads, the reader navigates the routes taken. Instead of reading strictly from left to right, the reader navigates multiple spaces. They navigate text, production notes, theatrical performances, and explores how all of these things cohabitate together in order to create a text that helps the reader produce meaning and provide further comprehension.